Hello, everyone, and welcome into the hospitality room. Presented by Mascot Media. Bobby Swofford, Blair Cartwright here to talk football, food, whatever comes to mind. We will probably go down a rabbit hole or five because that's how we roll on this show. How are you,
No doubt.
Mr. Swofford?
I'm good. I actually went down a rabbit hole earlier today. Larry Beal, former ESPN anchor,
Oh,
may recognize
yeah.
the name, went on an absolute rant. I guess he's a sports director in Oakland now. An absolute rant
Oh,
about the A's moving and the ownership and the lack of leadership there. It's pretty entertaining. If you follow the Twitter account Awful Announcing, it's got the full
yeah.
clip on there. It's uh, it's fun. But then it got to me thinking about Larry Beal and his time at Sports Center in the heyday of Sports Center, and in the '90s. And
Yes.
yeah, he was entertaining back then.
Wow. I kind of wondered what happened to him. Man, I didn't know he was
Yeah,
still kicking it out in Oakland. Wow.
and I mean, he doesn't look that old. And so, like, either he's had some very good plastic surgery, or he's one of the lucky ones that just hasn't aged.
Yeah, that's true. Or he got into it at a very, very young age. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, unlike the rest of us who've
Yeah,
aged
exactly.
aged a little bit
Yeah,
since then. All
we have
right,
no reason to dye our hair anymore. We're not on TV.
it's well, I've thought about it a few times with them. Like, man, it's
So much work.
it's beyond. Well, it's beyond believable at this point because I've been gray
Yeah.
for I don't know
Mhm.
15 years. So,
Yeah, it'd be
all
hard to
right,
go back because I did the touch of gray stuff for a little bit,
yeah,
and but like you throw a little water and some hair gel, your hair looks instantly darker anyway.
yeah,
And
that's true.
so yeah,
I
but
mean,
I've now gone to the I'm no longer salt and pepper. I'm just mostly salt.
yes.
So I'm too young for this, but here we are.
Oh, well, and then it would be so obvious that you're
Correct.
coloring your
It
hair, and
yeah,
and then it would just
it
looks
look
artificial. So
it would look bad. Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So unless we get the Mike Gundy perm, and that's
Yeah.
that could happen. All right, let's get to our talking points. Arkansas wins a football game on the road in the SEC. Unbelievable. In a way, we
Yeah.
both took Auburn, so we missed the pick. We did not have a good week pick wise, and we'll get to the picks here in a little bit. But
Yep.
this game, it was played. I'm trying to be positive.
Yeah.
This was, I mean, what was your takeaway from
Yeah.
this game?
I mean, yeah, you're being generous. You gave them an extra point there because I don't think they could get to a quarter of 100.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I did, didn't
Arkansas,
I? Yeah.
yeah, Arkansas and Auburn are bad football teams. At least they're bad offensive football teams. And I will say this, and I might have texted it to you, a screenshot of the last 2 minutes of the first half.
Mm-hmm.
I've never in
Yes.
my life seen a game that had six possessions in the final 2 minutes with 0 points. I mean, it was just fumble, interception, interception, interception. It was just really, really bad football. But that being said, I've been on the soapbox on this show a bunch of times, Blair,
Mm-hmm.
that you can't pick Arkansas to win until they win a meaningful, close game. And they finally did it. They finally made plays, at least enough plays to get the job done in this contest. And so you got to tip the
Yeah.
cap because SEC wins, no matter how ugly they are important and hard to come by. And
Yes.
they finally got one. So kudos to it. Now you got issues, certainly. There's a lot of warts on that if you're Arkansas football. But more importantly, you're 3-1 and have a little confidence, a little momentum going into the Texas A&M game.
It was hideous. I mean, we were driving back from Fort Smith and listening to it, and it was just you could tell Chuck and Quinn were just like ready to jump out of the press box.
Yeah.
I mean, it was some really bad. The quarterbacking was. I mean, when was the last time a game where both quarterbacks got benched for a series?
Right.
I mean, it was just. I think I've come to the realization with this Arkansas team, they're going to play to the level of their opponent from here on out. UAPB excluded. They're just going to play to the level of their opponent. Auburn played bad. They played bad. They played well at Oklahoma State. They'll probably play well against the better teams, but
Hmm.
they're not a team that takes control of a game. They're just going to
Yeah.
show up and play however good their opponent plays, and somehow they manage to play better than Auburn, but Auburn is that
Just
offense. Woo.
yeah, just turn the ball over and over. And a lot of that credit has to go to Arkansas's defense. Granted, and what's crazy is one of the touchdowns that Auburn scores is clearly just a busted tackle that allows them to walk in from 70 yards out.
Hmm.
I mean, if you make that play, you never know what happens with that drive. And that, obviously, they would get the first down, but if you just make the play, things could get a little interesting. Um, but defensively, you can't nitpick. I mean, you get Metcalf, the SEC Player of the Week on the defensive side. I mean, they played really well, got after the quarterback. Obviously, they weren't comfortable. But to me, Arkansas's got real questions at quarterback. And I said it, you said it, some other people drank the Kool Aid and didn't quite think so. Taylor Green's exactly who he was at Boise, an
Hmm.
inconsistent quarterback who can run the football. He's a very good athlete running the football. Throwing leaves a lot to be desired.
Hmm.
23 of 53 in his last two games combined. You're going to tell me a Bobby Petrino quarterback can be successful completing 40% of his passes? You can't.
No.
That's not sustainable, especially with the schedule that they have upcoming. Texas A&M excluded. They can beat
Yeah.
Texas A&M with a quarterback who's struggling, but you look beyond that. There's not going to be a lot of wins if you got a quarterback who's only giving you 4 out of every 10 to his team. That's going to be a problem.
Yes, because the teams they're going to play are going to be better than what they've played so
Mm-hmm.
far. And it's just, yeah, it's. And then there's the question of, and I know, but nobody in Arkansas wants to talk about it, and it's maybe a little too soon, but Petrino might have lost a little heat off his fastball.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been saying that for 5 years.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
everybody wants to talk about how great Bobby Petrino was. His offenses weren't great at A&M. I mean, what he did at Missouri State wasn't impressive, to be quite honest. I mean, what
Except
did he
for
have?
the one game against Arkansas,
Yeah,
which,
but again, how
eh,
good was Arkansas that year? They weren't very good, right?
yeah, yes,
So it's yeah. I mean, I'm not saying he can't get the job done because I think play calling is you're only as good as your players. And
yeah,
Arkansas still struggles with protection. They certainly struggle with blitzes, especially from the outside. And then you throw a quarterback who holds the ball too long, doesn't get it out on time, and Petrino's offense is all about timing. I mean, there's going to be some problems.
hmm,
Um, not saying that they can't fix it and that they're not going to win 7 or 8 games. I don't think they're going to. But if they fix the passing game, it's a scary team because they can run
yeah,
the football. Clearly, they can play a little defense. I don't know how good they are because obviously Oklahoma State's offense looked terrible against Utah, gave up almost 40 to them. Granted, 7 that was on defense, but yeah, there's still a lot of question marks for a team that, oh, by the way, is 3-1. It could easily be 4-0.
yeah, yeah. I
Good
mean,
place to
it's
be.
yeah, it's like you can nitpick it, but they are 3-1. Unlike his first year when he was head coach, you saw a steady progression
Yeah.
each week. We haven't seen that yet, and I think maybe partly they're just not as talented as that team. And we love to live in the past in Arkansas.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
mean, we love to live in the past. So that's what we do. So they win. So they move on.
Yeah.
So we move on. Hugh Freeze
Oh,
not moving on. He's not happy.
oh,
Um, listen to this. If you've not heard
yeah.
this, if it'll play, it didn't want to play. Hold on. We'll get this going here.
Those are the truths of the game, and
Here we
yeah,
go.
those are those,
Here we go. Well, now it's not.
and it's the truth for me too. I'm not because we've got to get them to where the winning ways are happening on those critical downs. I mean, no offense whatsoever to Arkansas or to Cal. I love Sam Pittman. I hope he wins the rest of his games. But I'm telling you, the hard truth is we play them 9 more times, we beat them 9 times. And that's what's hard to take. And it's hard for our fans, I'm sure, and it's certainly hard for us. And you have 460-something yards, and we only had 50-something plays of offense because we turned it over 5 times. And it's just it's frustrating.
Yeah, it's
And those are the
frustrating,
true.
and he won't stop talking about it. But I mean, really, I could say, yeah, we'd love to get another crack at it, but to say you're going to play 9 times and you'd beat them 9 times? Seriously?
Bad take. That's a real bad take, and I get that he's got to try to preserve his job because there's a lot of people out there, the
Oh,
national people, saying if they lose this week to Oklahoma, there's a chance that he's on the hot seat, and I don't think they're going to fire him just yet. But I mean, he's constantly been a player, and you don't pay attention to it because he hasn't been my coach. I don't. He's not
hmm
coached a team that I followed that closely. Um, a coach that throws his players under the bus pretty quickly when they lose, and
yeah. Did you
and
see the Bo Wallace tweets?
that's exactly what I was about to reference.
Okay.
What Wallace came out and said
Woo.
is spot on, and he had examples. I mean,
hmm
I work with a guy in this building who will tell you all about Hugh Freeze, a former
Okay.
head coach at Arkansas State. I'm not going to talk about it here, um, but take some accountability. You lost the game.
hmm
You lost to Cal too, by the way. So guess what?
Yeah.
You're a mediocre team at best. Um, and just take your lumps and move on. Move on to Oklahoma. Quit talking about Arkansas. Quit talking about, oh, we'll beat them 9 times out of 9. You didn't know. You only play one time, and that's what you get. That's what the world of sports is. You get your shot. You can't talk about it afterwards.
That's a coach that is definitely feeling the heat.
Mhm.
And there's just nothing else you can say about it. Yeah, they lost to Cal. Now they play Oklahoma. Ooh, you talk about an offensive. You thought this last week was bad.
OU's
Oklahoma and
bad on
Auburn?
offense. Yeah, they're bad on
Ooh,
offense.
yuck. All right, so the rest of college football. It was kind of a not so great week. There were
Mhm.
some wild games. James Madison putting up 50 in the
Ooh,
first half against North Carolina.
man.
USC suddenly, I don't know, their defense just imploded. I mean, Michigan, who's looked bad, beats them. Anything else jump out at you during the college?
Yeah, I mean, what we were just talking about, one, how bad Oklahoma's offense looked. But maybe part two of that is maybe Tennessee's really, really good. I thought Oklahoma played outstanding defensively and
Yeah,
still gave up, what, 30? Um,
25.
Tennis, yeah, Tennessee's going to be a problem in the SEC. OU's defense is very good. I was
hmm
impressed with them. Their offense is equally as bad. So yeah, Tennessee's going to be pretty good. Mac Brown, not sure how he's still the coach after giving up a 70 burger to James Madison. They don't play defense in the entire state of North Carolina, apparently.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
turnovers. They had some
yeah,
turnovers and other
USC.
stuff.
Yeah, I understand that they lost the game, but USC showed me a little more than I expected because they got down 14-0 pretty quick, and Michigan was just pounding it down their throat. And then all of a sudden they stiffened up and they took a lead. And again, I know they lost, but USC kind of showed me that this year's not going to be a complete wash like I thought it was. And
hmm
maybe even go back to last Friday to wrap up the React. Brett Bielema, Illinois, maybe for real.
Nebraska just cannot get over the hump, can they?
No, you might have seen the tweet. It's the most single possession losses in the last whatever.
Yeah.
Nebraska is number one with 31, and Arkansas is tied for second with 22.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. So,
Yeah,
yeah, it was just. And Iowa scores 31 points. So
told
they
you to
hit.
hammer the over.
They they did it. So kudos to them. All right, we'll get back to football in a minute. How about Otani? Remember at the start of the
Oh,
season, there was all the interpreter stuff, and then the dude
mhm.
goes out and hits 50 homers, steals 50 bases. He's a DH who's going to be an MVP.
Yeah,
Unbelievable. So much for being distracted, huh?
and to cap it all off, a 6-for-6 day with 10 RBIs and 3 home runs.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he is by far the best player in baseball, and he didn't even pitch this year. That's what's
Yeah.
crazy. And now
hmm
he's going to come back after this season, win the MVP, and come back and pitch next year. I don't know that we're ever going to see something like this. I mean, this is Babe Ruth, but significantly better.
Yeah. Well, when's the
I mean,
last time a DH even stole a base?
yeah,
I mean,
Barry
usually
Bonds before he got fat.
Yeah, usually your DH is,
Yeah.
built like a defensive lineman. So,
Hmm.
yeah, just crazy. And one more shout out, Class of 84 rules. We had our 40th reunion over the weekend. We actually have a few classmates that watch the hospitality room. So,
Oh,
shout out to
nice.
them. So, we greatly appreciate that. All right. The meat of the show is NFL, and let's get to the recap.
Ugly. Ugly.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to say it, but yeah, before we go to that, the pick totals, yeah, we were terrible. Nine,
Bad.
you were better than I was. I was 7-4-7, and I'm at 39%. Good Lord.
I hope you're not gambling.
I quit after the lost $20. Thank goodness, because I'd be
I'm down $1 for the season, so at least I pick and choose my bets.
man. You're doing well. Well, we
I was
both
I was up I was up big after week 0, I guess it was, and then I
yeah
slowly went back down.
yeah. It's not been pretty. The Patriots, they weren't pretty. I mean, Aaron
They're
Rodgers
bad.
actually looked like Aaron Rodgers.
He looked really good. That touchdown pass he threw out of the corner of the pylon was high level. But the Patriots can't block anybody. Giving up 7 sacks, they're going to keep Drake May on the bench while they're doing
Yeah, and that's probably not a bad idea.
that.
Bears, the
Yeah.
Colts. I mean, neither team has a. You don't know what to make of their quarterback.
No. And even though that the Colts won this game, Richardson still hasn't impressed you. The Bears are leaving a lot to be desired. I thought they could be a playoff team, and they've looked really, really bad, especially offensively. But yeah, these are two bad teams with bad quarterback play, and that's how you get a 21-16 game when we both missed the spread.
Yeah, I mean, Eberflus. You got to wonder how long. This
Oh,
was a stunner. I was absolutely stunned watching Red Zone, watching this thing.
yeah, this is
And we,
this is a prime example, along with a couple others from the weekend, of why people don't get rich betting on the NFL because crazy,
yes,
crazy things happen. Tampa goes down, excuse me, Denver goes down and scores and takes an early lead. You're like, all right, Tampa's going to come back into this, and they immediately turn the ball over, and I think the interception got run back inside the 10 or 15. Like the game's out of hand. It's just crazy. The gap between the really good and the really bad in the NFL is just not very large.
and the crazy thing is, Bo Nix is still not thrown a touchdown pass,
Yeah,
and they put up 26 points. I mean,
he had 6 first-round picks were the quarterbacks this year, and only 2 combined touchdown passes through 3 weeks. Granted, some of them aren't playing, but
yeah,
that's a telling statistic.
Sean Payton still has it. I mean, he still knows what he's doing, and
Yeah,
he won some games with Russell Wilson last year. So maybe we've kind of undervalued Sean Payton a little bit.
yeah,
Will Levis should
he's
just hawk
bad.
mayonnaise. He's mayonnaise and coffee bad. I mean, Malik Willis goes in there, who they ran off, and
Hmm.
I mean, he hadn't been in Green Bay long. He looks phenomenal.
Yeah. So here's maybe what we haven't given enough credit for. We talked about how great Aaron Rodgers was. We talked about how good Jordan Love has become. Maybe we're not talking about good enough how Matt LaFleur is as a
Yeah,
coach.
and the Packer organization. I
Hmm.
mean, they've hit on 3 straight quarterbacks,
Yeah.
and then they pick up a guy and make him
Yeah.
good. So the
Wow.
Titans are dumpster fire. This was also a stunner.
Mhm. Yeah. First play of the game, deflected pass, intercepted, short field for Minnesota, and they score a couple plays later, and all of a sudden that momentum's rolling that way. Sam Darnold had an MRI on his knee this week. Apparently that came back clear. Minnesota sitting at 3-0. Are they for real? They are a legit contender in the NFC. They got to win over San Francisco. Got to win over Houston now. The
I mean, who's
Texans,
better?
yeah, there's too much Jekyll and Hyde there with Houston and C.J. Stroud. You hope that he's not
Yeah,
going through that sophomore slump, but he hadn't looked good yet.
you know, and we'll get to the Bills in a minute, but Diggs, are we seeing the Stephon Diggs
Yeah. The
dilemma?
cancer, the cancer that is
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs. Yeah.
I mean, look at the Bills. They're playing loose and free. He's gone to the Texans, and now they're going to have some adversity.
Mhm.
Will that bite up? And are the Vikings the best team in the NFC? Brian Flores, as bad a head coach as he was in
Mhm.
Miami, Duke can coach. I mean, he can coordinate some defense now.
Yeah. They've put it all together, and they made some really good moves in the offseason. They got a little younger, got a little more athletic, got a little more balanced as a team, and Justin Jefferson's just unguardable.
Whew,
So he's going to give you a chance to score anytime he touches the ball.
he is unbelievable. This was just a little bit of a surprise too.
Hmm.
Justin Fields is getting it done. Do we ever see Russell Wilson? I mean, will we? Will he ever
No,
take the field? No?
not now.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean he's 3 and
Yeah.
0. I mean the Chargers have a 10-7 lead in this game. I think mid second quarter. You think, okay, they're in control, but obviously Alt going down. He's going to miss some time now at the Chargers. Herbert's not completely healthy, and you got
That's
to give a lot of
huge.
credit to Justin Fields. I mean he played well. He's putting them in position and trusting their defense. The Steelers, I think, have given up 10 points or less in all 3 games this year. And Pittsburgh's
Yeah.
defense is legit.
Oh, yeah. They don't with the defense like that, if you can put up 11 points or more,
Yeah.
you can live with
Life's a lot
that.
easier as an offense when you know you don't have to go up and score 30.
Yes. And it also proves you got to have a good backup because
Mhm.
Easton Stick is not Justin Herbert, and we'll see what happens with him. The Giants, as much as they're a clown show, the Browns are a bigger clown show.
Yeah,
You nailed
the
it.
Browns.
I was
Yeah,
wrong.
Malik Neighbors is really really good,
Oh,
and
man.
he makes them a different offense. Now Daniel Jones is still the quarterback, and he's going to bring them back down to earth every now and then. But the Browns are awful. Amari Cooper's lost a step. He's not getting open. Without Nick Chubb and that run game to lean on, the Browns just don't have a lot of margin for error, and Deshaun Watson's not good enough to carry a team.
Malik Neighbors is as you said legit, and you just can't help but wonder, especially after watching Hard Knocks. Man, what could this team be? Granted, Daniel Jones is not great, but if he had Saquon Barkley back there to keep defenses honest,
Yep.
I don't know. You got to wonder. This was a push.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know. The Eagles looked good at times. The Saints looked kind of lost.
They did.
And I don't know.
Well, I've been waiting for 2 years now to see Jalen Carter and those Georgia draft picks to do something with the Eagles defense, and it's like they
Mm-hmm.
all showed up at the same time Sunday against the Saints. I mean, Carter was in the backfield all day, and Carr was running for his life.
Mm-hmm.
So the front four to me won that game for Philadelphia, but 15 points with the weapons that they have in Philly's, it's there's something off there with their offense, and I know they got the new offense coordinator and they got a new system and all that. But like you've got too many weapons to only be scoring 15 points. That can't happen with Philadelphia, and that's why Sirianni's, even though they won the game, I think that seat's getting hotter and hotter every week.
Yeah. I mean, is Kellen Moore really the answer at offensive coordinator? And Sirianni, I just, yeah. That's not working, and it just seems to get more bizarre each week with him. Whoa. Andy Dalton, the red rifle. Holy cow, looks like a Super Bowl MVP. My first thought in watching him light up the Raiders, who are not bad on defense, was
Right?
man, how bad is Bryce Young?
Yeah. That's everything that jumps out to you about the Carolina is we were literally having the conversation is are they going to win a game?
Yeah.
And then they come out and just from the opening possession on dominate that football game. And it just shows you if you've got a little bit of competent play at quarterback, and granted, Andy Dalton played outstanding on Sunday,
Oh yeah.
300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. But if you have a just competent quarterback play, you can be competitive. And if you get good quarterback play, you're tough to beat. And Carolina just torched the Raiders. And I know that they already said they came out and Minshew's going to start for the Raiders this week, but I mean, again, you got issues there. I think Antonio Pierce could be a good head coach, and we're going to find out if he's lost his team because of his comments after the game saying some
Yeah.
players made some business
Business
decisions.
decisions. Yes.
Um,
And
it's
we're
going to be
going to
interesting.
make some business decisions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how his team reacts to that.
Well, who do you think is he talking to Devonte Adams, who's got a Taco
Yeah,
Bell in his house?
yeah. I didn't watch enough of that game. I had it on, but I mean, it got such out of hand. I kind of didn't pay attention to it to really pinpoint what he was talking about. But I mean, of course, I mean, you start with the quarterback and the superstars, and Devontae Adams 4 catches for 40 yards on 9 targets. That's not great.
Yeah, no, it's not. But man, Dalton. I mean, you're watching. You're like, well, the Panthers are moving up and down the field. What is
Mhm.
going on? So yeah, we'll see. The Dolphins. Oh my gosh,
Yeah, they got problems.
S- Skylar Thompson is. I mean, no offense to Mr. Thompson and Mrs. Thompson, but I don't know how he's still in the league. I mean, he's bad. And they brought in Tim Boyle. And, I mean, whew, they're, I don't know. It almost makes it even the whole Tua thing is going to surround them for the next 3 weeks.
It is. I mean, yeah, and Thompson's numbers weren't great, but he also was sacked 5 times. Like, so
Yeah,
they're not giving him any protection. Not getting a lot of help out of the run game. 65 yards on 18 carries in that contest. Um,
yeah,
I mean, Miami is kind of built on the big play anyway. And if they don't
hmm
have a quarterback who can quickly go 1-2 ball to Tyreek Hill, I mean, they got problems. And you look at what Miami's got coming up. They're 1-2 right now. They got the Titans, Patriots, Colts, Cardinals, easily winnable games. 4 games that you would say that they were going to be favored probably without Tua. But how
yeah.
do they respond in the stretch? Because if they lose 2 of those and they fall to 3-5, something like that, they're
Mike
they're going to be in
McDonald's in
trouble.
trouble. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, they've got to find a quarterback that can get the ball down the field. And they don't have that guy on the roster. There's some
yeah.
talk they could go get Mac Jones off of I forget what
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville's practice squad, but because
You
he's
know,
got relationship with Waddle and stuff, but I don't know.
I mean, go get Bryce Young. I mean, after what
He
we
should
saw
be
from Andy
available.
Dalton, after what we saw with Andy Dalton, Carolina's not going to go back. I mean, you can't. And
Well,
and if
that
you
owner's nuts.
you truly think Tua is done, and I know we're running out of time. If you think Tua is done for his career, you go out and you send Carolina a first round draft pick for Bryce Young and say send him over here, and then you just roll the dice.
Yeah, because he's a similar quarterback. He's small, so yeah, that would
Hmm.
actually make sense. Cowboys made it close, but it was not this
Yeah,
close.
it wasn't. They're bad. They had Lamar Jackson's record against the NFC is something crazy, and
20,
I forgot.
21 and 1.
Yeah, I forgot about that before I picked this game. I thought the Cowboys would put up a little bit of a fight. I mean, they look like they're running in slow motion trying to track down Lamar Jackson.
Oh, it was ridiculous. Lions look good. I was impressed.
Yeah, good gets good bounce back win for them after losing at home to Tampa.
Ragnow though, tore his
Hmm.
pec. Ugh.
Yeah, partially torn pec, week to week.
Yeah, not good.
Hmm. Oh, what a
This
collapse!
is a trend. This is a trend now. Fourth quarter 10-point leads. The Niners can't maintain them. This was not a good Rams team
No,
that beats them.
I don't think it's a good 49er team, to be honest. I mean, you look without McCaffrey, without Debo Samuel McCaffrey, now talking to specialists from Germany about his Achilles. I don't know that he plays this year. 49ers are in trouble.
Is Shanahan all that? Because these fourth quarter leads, I mean, that's got to be a
Yeah.
little disconcerting. They got lucky. They covered.
Yeah, they did.
They won. There was a bad
What a
play
great
call at
performance.
the
Yeah,
end. Yeah.
yeah. Justin Simmons it continues to amaze me. He owns Patrick Mahomes. Was it 4 straight games he's picked off
Yeah.
the Chiefs quarterback? But
Yeah.
the Chiefs continue to win one possession games, and a lot of that has to do with Andy Reid.
And they haven't played well, and a lot of it's the
Yeah.
defense.
Yep.
Trevor
Oh my
Lawrence is
gosh.
not good, and the Bills look
Yeah.
like world beaters.
Yeah. Bills are arguing that they could be the best team in the league.
They're probably playing the best, and then hello world, Mr.
Yeah.
Daniels.
Jaden Daniels came and said, "Hey, Monday Night Football against Joe Burrow, I got you." 2 incomplete passes. They haven't punted since the fourth quarter of Week 1. 17 straight possessions, either they scored or had taken a knee at the end of a half. Washington, not going to say they're a playoff team. They're not going to be fun for anybody to pop up on the schedule.
But the Bengals may not be a playoff team.
No, was that 0-3 now for Cincinnati?
Yes,
That's a
yes,
problem.
that's a real
That's a real
problem.
problem.
Final
Already three
word.
games back. 3 games back in Pittsburgh.